All right, the diet starts tomorrow. The podcast starts now. What is going on, everyone? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, however you consume the show. Big shout out to our sponsors, Sunny Reds and Imperial Pizza. I'll talk about them a little bit later in the show. If you are watching this on the video side, actually, we are live here late on a Sunday night around 11 p.m. or so. The game isn't even over, but I've had all I could take. I have tapped out. We are live, like I said, on the video side. Most people will be listening to this tomorrow, and I am joined for the first time in literally a month, I think, something like that. Joe from Queens, who is an avid training camp and preseason fanatic, is finally back. The bullshit vacation is over. And
bullshit vacation? What are you talking about?
Vacation. Bullshit vacation. The vacation is Joe does not like training camp. He does not like the preseason and does not want to come on and talk about either of them. What's going on, dude? It's been a month, man. It's been a while. It's been a minute.
It's been like 6 weeks. First off, I was gone because, I don't want to brag like a lot of the Bills beat bros do when they come to going on vacations. But I did go to a lot of different places. A lot of highlights. My kid ate glass, which was fun, like legit, but bit on a fucking glass of water and went right through it on my wife's birthday. So that was fucking fun. She got foot and mouth sickness on her birthday. We went away for her birthday and she got it, like foot and mouth, which is disgusting. It's terrible. I lost my wallet the day I got a colonoscopy, which was on Friday. So things are fucking great. So I'm very happy to be done with my vacation so I can get back and talk about how fucking great this football team is and the preseason and everything. I can't even believe I'm wasting beer.
I was going to say, let's get back to some traditions, man. Starting off with a beer. What do you got here? As the Bills, by the way, this game's not even over. We're live and it's 38-0 Chicago, and there's still 8.5 minutes left in the game. Anyway, what do you got there?
All right, this is a Brickyard Hollow 73 IPA. It's from Maine. When I took my trip to Maine back on Memorial Day weekend, I got a bunch of beers there. This is from there. I've never had this before. It's a nice brewery. I never even heard of this brewery, but it was close to the hotel, and I just went in there and grabbed some shit. So it's an IPA, 6.3%. I'll let you know. It's got a decent color, I would say. I'd have a shitty computer screen. You have like this high def computer screen, which is disgusting because you're ugly, and so like your shit, is more defined. While I have like kind of a little bit graspy, but anyway.
Our guy Tooch is in the house, by the way. There's a nice little crowd here piling in just minutes into our Sunday night live stream while this shithole game is
Where's Ralph Wilson at? On. Is he from hell? Is he back?
I have not seen him yet. He's been around though. Been seeing him plenty, but Pat, are you drinking a fucking coffee at 11 p.m. on a Sunday? Yes, I am drinking a coffee. Joe is drinking an IPA, probably a shitty one, like he just even know how.
Who said that? Who's saying it's a shitty IPA?
I said that. No one said that.
You. You went to your Babes Mafia thing yesterday so you can pose for a selfie with your beer at a freaking a brewery, and you're like, I love beer now, even though you don't like beer. You like shitty Nat Ice or
I had
what was that shit you were complaining about last time, but Tops didn't have? You're a disgrace. Phony.
That was Bush Apple Light.
Yeah,
I was there with my guy Del Reed. It was a fun event, by the way.
How many guys do you have? I'm with my guy here. I'm with my guy there.
Friends,
you have like 87 guys. I don't want to be your guy. Just be like my acquaintance. All right, motherfucker. Okay, anyways.
All right, Joe's back here, as you can tell already, folks. If you're actually watching this live and you're up at 11 o'clock
why
on
the
Sunday,
fuck are you watching this live?
We appreciate you.
Who would rather
much.
have me do a post game on the Sexton just like that finale, the series finale?
Did you watch? I was going to say you didn't watch. Did you watch the first hour of this football game? Because I don't know if you were joking or not, but you told me that you were going to watch a TV show with your wife and you didn't give a shit about.
No,
this game.
I told you. I told you exactly what I did. I had it on my phone on mute, and we watched the lovely Carrie Bradshaw and Miranda and Charlotte and all of them talk about their lives. And I know you hate that show. I don't know why. I remember because when you had an HBO draft with Jordan, you didn't pick any Sex and the City characters. I think you probably picked like Martin Tupper or something like that. And I was like, what the hell are you picking, dude? Like, you're not gonna pick Samantha or anything? Like, I hate that show. I'm like, all right, it was a good show. Anyways, I enjoyed the done shit, whatever, just like that. They were older, wiser. I enjoyed it. But anyways, I know that you don't want to hear me recap.
Well, you watched that instead of the beginning of this football game.
No. I just told you.
Out there.
I watched it on my phone,
sort of,
while listening, and I saw.
What were you more focused on?
My wife's beautiful looks. What do you think I was focused on? We were watching it together, buddy. Look, I was focused on both. Okay, I looked down. I saw a play. I didn't need to see the replay. I saw the touchdown, which we'll get into, with the safeties that I'm sure you're going to go into a tirade about, and I'm going to sit here and just drink and go, okay, it's preseason, buddy. But
well, I'm going to warn you now. I am probably irrationally annoyed with what I've seen tonight, and preseason or not, I don't give a shit. There's just there's some things. I don't care about the game, the win, the loss. It is 38-0. I think that's pretty embarrassing no matter what way you look at it, no matter who's out there.
No one got hurt. They won.
There's some players specifically that this goes beyond losing a game tonight and even last week. There's issues on this football team. They're not without flaws. Let's just put it that way. And some of their flaws are starting to really get exposed.
Oh, my God. It's right preseason. Now. Okay, flaws. Jesus Christ. Already.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you a quick story.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I want. This is for younger fans. I would say if you're under 40, okay? If you're a Bills fan and you're under 40, I just want to point this out. Friday night, I come home from work, long day, long night. I couldn't sleep. And I'm messing around on YouTube. I usually put on like rain or ocean music now to go to sleep at night. However, wife was camping for the weekend. I don't know, I was a little bit restless, couldn't sleep. So I'm on YouTube and I found this Bills-Steelers game from 1985. December 1985. It was at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. And the Bills, by the way, it was an incredibly exciting game. The Bills lost the game 30-24. Bruce Matheson was the starting quarterback for that football team. You had a rookie Andre Reed at wide receiver, which was pretty cool. But anyway, the Bills lost that game. There were 10 fumbles in that game. It was just ugly-ass football. The Bills lose, and that was, if you're old enough to remember, the second of back-to-back 2-14 seasons. The Bills were 5-33 at one point from like 1984 to like mid-1986. And I bring that up because younger fans got a glimpse of what Buffalo Bills football in the mid-'80s was like if you watched the Chicago game tonight, because it was just that ugly.
So I saw you tweet that, and I was actually going to quote tweet that because I was going to counter that. First off, you're saying people under 40. Like, I'm 45. I don't remember 1985 football. So let's up the age. Like, if you're under 45, you're not going to remember
50?
Yeah, like you have to be at least 50 or something like that. But anyways, okay. But I'm going to remind people.
Overreactions are flying already. Go on.
He's on. We'll get to that. Oh gosh. Anyway, so I'll just say this. And this is going to be. I think this is going to be like a 2-part show where we're going to talk about the game, where you're going to talk about it. I'm going to nod and say you're an idiot. But then we're going to talk about. I would like to talk about the prism, the vortex of preseason training camp, and just how everyone has lost their fucking mind, and it's worse now. And I'm so happy I was on vacation, I was camping, and even though like
you were on a vacation, sort of. I mean, you did go on a legitimate vacation.
Yeah, I did. I went on a couple things, but like let me just let me just say this. My initial point was, you want to, I think a majority of people don't panic over preseason. I really do. I mean, I make fun of it because it's stupid, because I think the content bros, the bro beat people, and they the ones that enhance it way too much than it's supposed to be. But I will tell you this. I'll give you a better history lesson. The Super Bowl era Bills, they were horrible during the preseason. They were dreadful. They went 0-4 multiple times and went to the Super Bowl. They didn't play their starters. They didn't give a shit. Like Kelly would play. They had like 5 games there. He played like a series the whole freaking August, and then they have like Gal Gilbert doing shit. And it didn't matter in the end. When you're a great team, and the Bills are a great team, this shit means shit. And I'm sorry. And I know we're going to put in there and go, well, I know it's preseason. And then I got to have to go in the cosplaying mode of, I'm going to give a shit about Herbie Hancock or Mike White or Walter White or whatever the fuck.
Hancock.
Yeah, Walter White, all these fucking scrubs. And I got to pretend like I give a shit. And I don't. And I can't believe anyone really does except the content people. And I get it. But yeah, it's just, as far as I'm concerned, it's all worthless. It's stupid. We're just here. These are all distractions until the regular season. Because in a month, in 3 weeks, when the Ravens and Bills kick off, we're going to forget about this entire month. It's how it always is. So, anyways,
you're not wrong. A lot of what you said is right.
That will be a tease for what we're going to have in the second half. Because I wrote way more mental notes. I don't write anything down, as Paulie Walnuts would say. But I have a lot of mental notes about what I'm going to say about camp and what I've seen, and even you've lost your mind, and I'm going to get into that. But we're going to do a recap, a nice little recap. So go have your meltdown about Cole Bishop and Buffalo Joe and fucking whoever else. Who else?
Terrell, number three.
Yes, your boy Hamlin, who you hate. And now, and Terrell Shavers is like going to become a god, allegedly, because of this game. He's caught a back shoulder throw. Let
me read a comment. I want to go back to the old mid '80s Bills because, like I said, you got a little bit of a free peek of what that was like. Whatever age you're at, that was what it was like, folks. Darnell Davis says, "I'm 56. I was a senior in high school in Buffalo. That's the year the Bills drafted Bruce Smith. The Bills were 2-14 in '85 when I was a senior in high school. So I remember the '80s and '90s team." And pissed a little. Let me ask you a serious question. Now, you brought up the '90s Super Bowl Bills and how they were terrible in the preseason. It was widely known the nickname for training camp during those years was Club Marv.
Club Marv, yes.
Completely different.
Bullshit,
this is not Club Sean, for better or for worse. It's not Club Sean with this edition. Well, let me ask you this. Based on what's going on, we're at the 2-minute warning, by the way. The Bears are up 38-0. They're inside the 5-yard line. It's first and goal. They're probably going to take a knee. I don't know if they're going to try to score now. We're about to find out. Maybe they will. Anyway, here's my point. I know Sean, obviously, they had a joint practice on Friday with the Bears. Sean must have liked what he saw, decided to, this is the game where you do play the starters if you're going to. Chicago did tonight. The Bills chose not to. Cole Bishop was the only starter on either side of the football that was out there. Anyway, and they're taking a knee, so it's going to end up 38.
Oh, yeah, right? Take a knee and blow me. Okay, let's hurry up. Let's go.
No, so listen, man. So tonight was, who cares about the score? But they looked so bad. My question for you is do you think that there's a chance with the Bills having one more preseason game next Saturday in Tampa that some of these starters end up playing so that mentally they go into the regular season maybe looking a little bit better? Because this tonight was just, any way you look at it, I don't give a shit, second or third stringers. This was ugly and it was really bad.
No, I think this is all part of the plan, okay? Look, I wish you would have like Sal Mariana on this podcast or Bob Kaczynski or some guy who's older than us, you and I, and they can talk to you about what training camp used to be like 15, 20 years ago. It used to be physical. It used to be like kind of serious, I would say. I don't think it's serious anymore because of the OTA, because of collective bargaining agreement. You can only have guys practice so much. You have a lot of freaking no pads. And I think McDermott knows that. And I think we've gone through this every year where McDermott doesn't really play the starters. He's benched Josh a bunch of different times in the preseason and doesn't play him. So I don't see them being like, oh man, we got to get our guys out there. Like he's gonna pretend to be angry. And people who love preseason will take some of his clips and be like, people say that preseason doesn't matter, but Sean McDermott just said like it matters. Oh, of course he's gonna fucking say that. He's not gonna say who gives a shit or like that. He's not gonna be like me. But it doesn't matter. He's not gonna play anyone. I don't want him to play his starters. I don't want anyone.
I didn't either. I said it before the game. I said, because by the way, we didn't know until 2 hours before the game that most players weren't going to be playing. I don't want to see the starters.
I'll say this though, real quick. My apologies. I don't know why he has to be so close, undercover about that. Like, why can't he just say that on Friday? Like, hey, the starters aren't playing, or like, on Saturday. That's kind of weird.
Like Matt Bovee had a pretty good point. He tweeted out early Saturday that there was no media access on Saturday because they had that joint practice on Friday.
Okay.
So Sean had no real reason to speak to anybody.
God forbid a reporter actually tries to look into that because, we got to put selfies of Chicago pizza up on the fucking Twitterverse. Anyways, I digress. Go ahead.
Well, I get annoyed when people say that the preseason doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't matter.
I completely disagree. It does matter. The wins and losses don't matter. Most of preseason doesn't matter, but don't say none of it matters. Because you know what, Joe? I don't care if it's preseason right now or if it's week 1 against Baltimore. Damar Hamlin's out there playing like he did the last 2 weeks. You're going to be in a lot of trouble. Cole Bishop, who just came back from an injury, and by the way, I don't know what the hell is going on with Cole Bishop because Sean McDermott earlier this week talked about an urgency, getting him back. And, I need to see more from him. Well, he was healthy enough to start this game, looked atrocious on that first drive, and he was out of the game. He started the second drive, and then he was out of the game. One thing that sucks about doing these live post-game shows is we do this before Sean speaks. I have no idea if something happened to Cole Bishop. Did he get dinged up for like the 9,000th time, or did Sean already see enough? I don't know, but I thought this guy is badly in need of reps, and he was out of the game in the second drive, before the second drive was over. And he was terrible. I mean, that's coverage. What is game planning? I don't care about game plans or preseason. When you're that off on coverage, when you get beat that bad, that is a bad look. Damar Hamlin, who was awful on 2 or 3 plays against the Giants last week, he was even worse tonight. I mean, God, he looks like he's got cement in his shoes when he's out there. And he whiffed on a tackle on that touchdown. It was just an embarrassing play. Hamlin or Hamlin or Bishop, one of those two guys are going to be starting in a couple weeks. And just because it's preseason, it's like, who cares that they look slow? They got cement in their feet. They can't tackle. They can't take angles. That's a problem. And you see it in a game like tonight, and that does concern me. The Bills' safety room is a problem, period. I don't give a shit about a preseason game or not. Tonight was served as more evidence. The Bills got a safety problem right now, and I don't know how anybody could say otherwise.
You do realize they had the same safeties last year, and it wasn't like a giant problem. It wasn't great. It was mid, and now all of a sudden it's a giant problem because, let me check my fucking notes. Who the hell started on the defensive line tonight? Now, I know you know football. I like to think you know football. You do. It's all about 11 men.
No starters.
Hold on. Okay, no starters. It's all about 11 guys. The 11 guys make the other guys look better, okay? And that's what you have to look at. Now, I will give you a little bit of rope and say, on that touchdown, they have to make a tackle. That's an individual effort. But preseason, who gives a shit? They're like, fuck it, we're whatever. I don't – it's hard to do anything when you don't have your starters in, because those starters help you out. All of them do.
These were bang safety plays. I would normally agree with you, but these weren't long developing plays. These were bad coverage plays. I'll tell you this about Damar Hamlin. Mm-hmm. It's one or two things. By the way, good comment from Carly in the live chat. She said we've had a safety problem since Hyde and Poyer left. Yeah, I do think we got spoiled through the years of having those two safeties, and now we're seeing that when they're not there, it's a different story. But it's one or two things with Damar Hamlin, Joe. Either A,
you're obsessed with him.
I'm not obsessed with him.
You're obsessed with him. You did hear
about my bet. We'll talk about my bet I haven't talked about it on the show. I'll tell you in a few minutes about my bet that involves Damar Hamlin. Anyway, it's one or two things, Joe, with Damar Hamlin. Either A, he's not trying in the preseason. He's just mailing it in. He doesn't care about anything except not getting hurt. And maybe that's why he's playing, it looks like it's 75 to 80% of speed. So either he doesn't care or he is just really, 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 really mediocre. It's one or the other. Or he just doesn't care. It's got to be one of them because he has been horrific 2 straight weeks now in the preseason. Bro, he's been horrific, man. Make a tackle. It's in front of you. Or do you not care to make the tackle? That's my thing. He got last week that dude from the Giants, Washington, almost broke his ankles in a 3-foot area, like in a phone booth. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. So he's been awful. And he might start because Cole Bishop, I don't know what's going on with him. Can't stay healthy.
Well, you know what?
I don't think Cole Bishop's that good anyway. It's like, look, Cole Bishop's got potential, 2nd-round pick, Joe. But I know you don't care about training camp, but I'm telling you, I was at a lot of practices, and I really didn't see much. What have we seen from Cole Bishop? What have you seen from Cole Bishop last year or that I've seen from him this summer that says, you know what, Cole Bishop is going to be a pretty solid starting safety in this league? I haven't seen it.
Well, he hasn't
Nothing.
played. That's the problem. He hasn't played. That's the issue. You know,
It's
that's
just an on and off switch. He's just going to become, after looking
No, he
mediocre
needs
in
to
the
be-
summer
he
and being
needs-
hurt, he's just going to turn the switch on and be good.
Yeah, because they'll scheme it up better, dude. You're acting like it's fucking they're putting schemes together. They're not. You don't. Oh my god, I just can't. I just can't. You're acting like they're putting in schemes. They're not. They don't give a fuck.
Two goalies, one mic. That's coming up in a second, buddy. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's preseason. They do not care. It's vanilla schemes. That's it. Okay. Like, look. Do I think it's a concern? Yeah. The safeties were mid last year, I thought. Like, Rapp, I thought overachieved. Your boy Hamlin, yeah, he had plays where he messed up. I would hope that the defensive line, the front seven, which I would like to think is maybe the best part of the defense. I know it's like I'm involving 7 fucking players here, but like they're pretty loaded up there in the front 7, basically, I would say. Those guys got to be in there, and then I think it will help the back end of the defense. But to have an aneurysm or be like, oh, Damar was bad the last 2 games, and what's Cole Bishop done? It's fucking. We got 3 more fucking weeks, bro. There's camp. They all just have to get healthy. It's stupid. You're going nuts. You're going nuts. I'm going to talk about this because I don't want to ruin your. I know you got your training camp. You're not training camp. I know you got your notes here about this fucking game that I got to pretend to care about. But then I'm going to go into this whole tirade about this is going to be your intervention later. But
it's going to be my intervention.
Yes, because we got to talk about this. We got to talk.
I wish, because again, we're doing this in real time. The game, literally, in fact,
Jesus Christ! I'll look on Twitter and see if I don't need to listen to you.
I wish I could pull up and put on screen the video of 2 or 3 plays on that first drive and just show you who gives a shit about scheme or who's in front. You're not wrong, generally speaking. Okay, but these were plays that again got nothing to do with game planning, nothing to do with scheme. The Bills lost this game. Look. Chicago started this game. Chicago had a game plan. They were running play action. They were running plays. The Bills were basic as could be. The Bills losing this game, I don't give a shit about that. But there's a handful of players that just look god-awful. And then now this is 2 weeks running.
Awful.
They have.
All right.
They have.
I mean,
I'll give you another one. They'll piss off people, a lot of Buffalo fans, but I'm sorry. But Joe Andreessen looks completely and utterly lost out there. And I'm going to tell you, Buffalo Joe is pretty lucky right now that Balin Spector can never stay healthy, and the Bills finally gave up on him because I'm telling you, Joe Andreessen, dude, saw it on film last week, and even worse today, horrific. He looks lost in pass coverage. He's pretty good in run stopping right now. He's a good special teams player. He's making the team. He's the backup Mike linebacker, and he's a good special teams player. But he has been bad these first 2 games, and he was awful in Chicago tonight. I mean, awful. Sorry, there's a bullpen Coach Curtis that keeps telling me I don't know ball in the live chat and haunting me on Twitter about Buffalo Joe. And he told me that I'm jealous of Buffalo Joe.
You definitely are jealous. I'm definitely, dude. Buffalo Joe could look. I mean, he's on his way to not being able to host bikini contests at like, you know, the fucking Mickey Rats on the Lake, okay, or whatever the fuck he was doing last year. Look, I don't give a shit if he sucks, because I'm going to tell you why. He wasn't really good to begin with, sadly, okay? Like, this whole hype, I get it. He was a Buffalo guy last year, nice story. He didn't do jack shit last year. He's probably not going to do jack shit this year. He's a backup.
Lancaster Joe is stuff.
Lancaster Joe, yeah.
I don't want to call him Buffalo Joe. He's Lancaster Joe.
Legit, like, who cares? He's the backup fucking linebacker. He's the 4th string linebacker, right? Yeah.
No, he's the back. He's the main backup right now. He's Terrell Bernard's backup. Like, if Terrell Bernard gets hurt,
couldn't Hoyt be the linebacker? Well, Hoyt could go in there too, though, right?
Nah, not a middle linebacker. He could play a little bit on the outside. Dorian Williams is Milano's backup.
He's not going to play really. And here's the thing. Here's the problem with preseason. And I'm going to go on a lot of tangents, but like, yeah, he wasn't very good tonight. But like, he's playing with a bunch of scrubs against first teamers. That's the problem. You know, that's what you talk about. Oh, they have all the backups. The Bears didn't have backups. They had their starters in. So why are you tripping out? Why are you going nuts?
Because you know what?
You're
Because
having an aneurysm.
Joe Andreessen's a guy you might have to play, and Colston, Loveland, or whoever the tight ends are. Joe Andreessen was looking around. He didn't even know where they were on the field at the time in the middle of the field. I could show you again. I know you're going to laugh at this one.
Oh, no.
I cannot wait for the All-22 to come out on Monday so I can dive in, and then I can show you some shit, man.
I'll be muting you on that fucking day, buddy. No, I won't be on. But look, Pat, look, he's the backup, but that's how it is in the league. Backup linebackers aren't great. That's why they're backups.
Well,
so, yeah, you want to trip out? If you want to trip out and be like, he's going to lose his license to host bikini contests, fine. Whatever. I don't know what's going on with him, and I don't care because he's the backup fucking linebacker. And sorry, I hope he it's just a backup linebacker. Okay. I don't know. But I will say this.
You're right. I'll give you that. You're right about that. You're not wrong about that. I'll give you that.
Thanks.
But again, dude, I think it's more because I get it. He's such a great story, and he's a Buffalo born and raised dude, and he's the ultimate underdog story, and people want to get behind him, and he has earned a spot on this team. He deserves to be on this team. But let's pump the brakes, I guess, is what I'm getting at about, hey, Buffalo Joe could be great out there.
Well, yeah, that's
maybe, but now based on what he's shown these last 2 weeks.
I mean, that's a fringe. I mean, I'm not going to justify.
Better. I don't know.
See.
But, Mike Carlisa doesn't think so. He's just Buffalo.
No, you know what? Can you pull up Mark's comment he's 2 up? If you can see that, there you go.
Pat, you're worried about backups too much. Mm-hmm. You should be worried about the lack of high-end talent on this roster.
I agree, and I didn't need preseason to tell me that, by the way. Like, there is...
I don't agree with that.
High-end talent? Who's going... Oh, yeah, okay. All right, you got Joey Bosa going to the Hall of Fame.
I'm not saying that there's a lack of high-end talent, maybe compared to some other teams, but what I will tell you is that I think the Bills have the best quarterback in football, one of the best 2 quarterbacks. Well, I guess we'll make people happy with 3 quarterbacks. I think they got an incredibly good offensive line, and I think they got a really good set of running backs. Their offense is going to be very, 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 very good in the regular season. This preseason game registers 0.0 in terms of, oh shit, I'm a little bit worried about the Bills when it comes to the offensive side. The offense is going to be completely fine. Defensively, they got 2 amazing linebackers when they're on the field. Their defensive line, there was no Greg Rousseau, no Joe Bosa, no Ed Oliver tonight. So I get all that. It's some of the depth that I worry about in a couple of these players, and the safeties who, again, one of those 2 guys, maybe both of them when Taylor Rapp inevitably gets hurt again, which he does 3 times a year, those guys are going to be fucking starting. They're going to start. And the way they looked against other starters tonight was very concerning. I don't think it's being an overreacting to be concerned about the Bills' safety position.
No, you can. If this was a month ago and you were concerned about this, I would be fine. To be over the top concerned because of a preseason game, that's where I have an issue with, okay? So, and again, you can't tell because it's vanilla schemes. Again, on vanilla schemes, the starters aren't fucking playing. Those starters, I'm sure Ed Oliver being in Caleb Williams' fucking face would help a little bit, okay? Or Rousseau, whoever. So,
well, Michael Carley still brings up a good point in the chat, Joe. He says, I worry because Bernard's always hurt. I mean, I always might be a little bit of a stretch, but he did miss 4 games last year. He's been banged up. He's missed a lot of camp this year. So how Joe Andreessen looks matters to me because there's a good chance he's going to play.
But
the
again,
Bills get a lot of injuries.
But again, he's playing with scrubs. So it's harder. If he's on the field with Ed Oliver and he's on the field with those starters, your boy Buffalo Joe is probably going to be a better player because he's going to have those guys to help him out. That's all I'm saying. It's very hard. Fair. The one thing I'll say, I saw a little bit on that bullshit Elon site is like a lot of people were very much into this whole like, don't panic. It's preseason. Like, leave it alone. Like, it's fine. But when someone made a play, it was like, I love that guy. He's great signing. That's like, okay, so you love this guy, but then you tell everyone else to calm down. It's kind of hilarious. I find that quite amusing, to be honest.
By the way, I'll get to that bet that I made. I forgot because I made this over the weekend. I did on social media, but I didn't say it on the show. I haven't had a show since then. I put out there, and I'm not joking. I will. All right, Joe. So I'm 54 years old. All right. Yeah, there's not a tattoo. There's not a tattoo on my body. I've never in my life ever have gotten a tattoo. I just don't. I don't like them. I don't like pain. Bunch of reasons. But I did say if the Bills win the Super Bowl this year, I'm going to get a Damar Hamlin number 3 tattoo on me. Somewhere visible, too. Not just like in my back where nobody could see it, but I agreed that I would get a Damar Hamlin tattoo. Well, that's how I feel about him, who probably is going to be a starter on this football team at some point.
What if
sadly,
the fact, why didn't you be, I'm not saying you got to be positive, but maybe he'll be better this year. Like, he did not play. Look, he almost died.
What?
Damar. Maybe he'll be better this year. He's a young player still. He played one season as every down, not every down player, but he played like one season. Maybe he'll be better this year. I'm not saying he's going to become a Pro Bowler and light the world on fire, but why don't you wait till he starts in the regular season and say hey, he's played more, he knows the system better, blah blah blah, all those cliches, and then have a meltdown. You just had a meltdown over Damar Hamlin, and I haven't listened to you at all the last month, thank God.
Hey, you haven't watched any shows?
No, I did watch. I think you had some people on. I think I was interested in. Oh, the Jeremy and Podfather podcast I listened to.
Podfather,
yeah.
By the Podfather, everybody means Joe Marino.
Yes, the Podfather over there. But I mean, I'll say this. Okay, is there anything you liked about tonight's game?
Yes. One thing.
Go ahead.
I liked one thing. There's one player I did like about tonight, and this is the irony of this fucking game tonight and why I'm so annoyed. I liked, for a second straight week, the rookie Jordan Hancock at safety.
Oh, Herbie Hancock,
dude,
yeah.
He is good, dude. He had 8 tackles in this game. He had a tackle for loss. He had 2 or 3 noticeable run stops. He's been good now both weeks. And I'm telling you, if he's healthy, this dude is going to be a starter sooner than later. I'm telling you right now. But here's the thing. He got fucking hurt early in the third quarter and left with an injured shoulder. All we know is that he hurt his shoulder, and it was on a nice tackle, too, and he left the game and did not return. So the one bright spot with the Bills safeties, I think Damar Hamlin has been ass in the preseason. I think Cole Bishop has been overrated since the day he was drafted, through this point at least anyway, and Taylor Rapp's decent. He's fine. But I think Jordan Hancock's the one bright spot at that position, and he gets fucking hurt tonight. So hopefully it's not a serious injury.
Where was he drafted, this guy?
5th round.
5th round? Okay.
Yeah. Hey, you got to give Brandon Beane credit, dude. Normally you would roll your eyes at that, but Brandon Beane's got himself a nice history of getting those day 3 guys who become good players on this football team. I mean, Shakir and freaking Christian Benford. There's Damar. There's plenty of day 3 guys.
Having a rookie play right away is a tall task to ask, so I would not put too much on your boy.
Cole
even though he got
Bishop's
hurt.
like a rookie. He's almost like a rookie.
Well, no, I'm saying but there's difference. I know he hasn't played much, but whatever. If you got Jordan, what about your boy Schaefer's? I know everyone wants to kiss his ass.
Yeah. By the way, Dan Meyer brings up a good point in the chat. I got to chill. He said language. That's right. I am a little fired up. We a couple swear words here and there is fine, but the F-bombs are flowing right now, so I do apologize.
Well, we haven't seen each other, Dan, in 6 weeks. So
we're catching up.
We're catching up. This is how we catch up.
This 6 weeks of clean shows, so we gotta make up for that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so to your point, you asked me what I actually liked. I did like him again, but then he got hurt. The rookie Deion Walker, but this isn't so much the defensive tackle, the big boy. He looks good in pass rush. Dad Brown pointed this out from Rochester, and I thought it was a great point. He looks really good in the pass rush, and he looks terrible against the run. He's getting stood up and not double teams either. He's going to have to learn how to play with more leverage. He plays too high, and you could see that. You don't even need to watch film to see that. So a mixed bag for him, but still, you see the potential. Frank Gore continues to look good, but he lost the fumble. Plus, he's not making this team, so it doesn't really matter. As long as Ray Davis or Ty Johnson or Cook don't get hurt, Gore's not making this team. That's it. That's all I liked. There was nothing. Mr. Trubisky looked okay, but there's still a lot more that I didn't like. And I'll tell you what, we're at the point, we'll do this. On the video side, I'm going to take a really quick break, literally a 3-second break here on the video side. We'll talk a little bit more about this game and then get into some stuff that Joe I know is dying to get into. Mm-hmm. One player or two that will kind of lead into what you're going to talk about, how meaningless everything is until now. We'll get to that in just a second as well. All right, back here, Joe from Queens. We are live shortly after, actually not even shortly after. We got on live here before the Bills game even ended. The Bills I believe they did go on to lose that game 38-0 in Chicago. No starters other than Cole Bishop briefly even saw the field for the Bills. Chicago was playing their starters. It is important to put that out there quickly because we'll be here all night, and I don't want to talk so much about this game. I'll have more takeaways after I, much to Joe's chagrin, look at some grades and see some films so we can break down some stuff. But like I said, Buffalo Joe, terrible. Damar Hamlin was terrible this game. Cole Bishop in his appearance was terrible. Mike White, that quarterback competition's over. He's done. Mitch Trubisky will be the QB too. That was going into this kind of a legitimate battle, but Mike White tonight, look, backups, I get that, but he had a couple opportunities. He made a horrible throw to Elijah Moore. He made a horrible throw downfield to a wide open Tyrell Shavers, which should have been a touchdown. It was a bad throw. Mike White's going to be done. Mr. Trubisky's going to win that job. So Mike White played his way out of a job, which, again, sometimes for some players, the preseason does matter. In this case, for Mike White, I think he lost any chance. Zach Davidson, bye-bye. And, a bad penalty. Just 2 straight nightmare weeks for the tight end trying to make some noise here. I think Dane Jackson could be playing himself out of a roster spot. He was really, really bad this week. He was pretty shaky last week as well. And then the one player that I really want to talk about on the bad side, the guy who looked really, really good in the spring in shorts, in a football jersey, catching balls. And I'm telling you, dude.
He had that great catch when he was getting defended by air, and whoever the video guy was must have been jerking off because he got that footage, and he had like 1,000 likes, and he probably went home and
Elijah Moore was an OTA and minicamp darling. He's been very mid throughout pretty much all training camp, and he has been invisible in the preseason. And again, this matters for some players. He had 2 drops tonight. One of them, come on, man. What are we doing here? You can't drop that football. It was a perfect pass right in his hands. No excuses. Elijah Moore has become, he's went from really hopeful to be a key part of not key part, but a contributing part of this offense for sure, to somebody who is very, very much in the mix to not even make this roster at this point. He was terrible again tonight.
I wish someone in the chat, if Partham's in there, you go look up what his numbers were, Elijah Moore, in the last couple of preseason. I'm curious if he's like a preseason, like he doesn't care. I'm just like, look, there are players that are like that. Because look, when he signed, I think you and I just assumed, like, I liked him. He seemed like, he'll be an okay fit. He had, we good route runner, had decent years with shitty quarterbacks, blah blah blah. But I don't know, it's just that's the craziness that you can't put too much into freaking OTAs or even training camp. But I don't know. We'll see what he does. What,
Joe? Someone, I can't remember who it was, but someone brought this point up. It was somebody on the show last week, and God, I'm so sorry, but I can't remember who it is to attribute it to. But he talked about Elijah Moore. Look, he was with Cleveland last year. Cleveland is complete garbage, and why didn't they want him back? Like, he had 62 catches. Like, he's not old. Why did Cleveland have no interest in re-signing him? They had a ton of cap room, but he wasn't in their plans. They didn't have any interest, and he sat there until after the draft unsigned. So I don't know, man.
I hope he makes the team. I hope they need talent there. Okay. The wide receiver position is still not great. It's my biggest concern on this. I mean, safety is a concern, but the wide receivers have always been a concern of mine. They've been a concern of mine for fucking the last 3 years, it feels like. Things can
Ralph
change.
Wilson Sr., shout out.
Hey, Ralph. What's up, buddy?
Vandermark looked like he didn't want to be traded. It was a tough. Ryan Vandermark had about 5 false starts tonight. He got away with. It was who's that right tackle for the Chiefs who used to get false starts all the time? Or he would have a false start every play,
I don't know,
but didn't get called. Anyway, back to Elijah Moore here quickly. Is he that talented though? That's my whole thing.
Well, he was a second rounder.
He was. Well, so was Laviska Shenault. I mean,
I didn't even know who that is.
So was Cole Bishop. Laviska Shenault might make this team. He might be that 6th receiver, kick returner / receiver.
I think we're at a little bit of a, this is what happens when if all this goes through where Elijah Moore doesn't make the team. This is where you can knock on Brandon Beane's door and be like, this is what happens when you buy wide receivers on the clearance section of the freaking store or whatever, because that's what it feels like. It's like he got this guy after the draft. I thought Taylor, it would be okay, but we'll We'll see. I hope he makes the team. But again, it's preseason. We'll see what happens. I don't know. It's still. If he gets cut, they lose the cap numbers and shit like that, right? Because he's got some guaranteed money.
He's guaranteed $2.5 million. Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
Now, however, a couple weeks ago, I was like, Curtis Samuel still hasn't played. By the way, he's close.
Yeah.
He's been limited in practice. But I'm going to tell you, I said this at halftime of this game on Sunday night, Joe. I said the only two winners for the Bills in the first half were Mitch Trubisky and Curtis Samuel, who didn't play in the first half. Curtis Samuel didn't play at all because Mike White was just awful, and Elijah Moore had 2 drops. Curtis Samuel's got a $7.something million cap hit. They're not cutting him. That's not happening unless he can't get back on the field. But, man, Elijah Moore's got no special teams value either. Go ahead.
I don't care about that.
I know you were going to say that.
Yeah, Elijah Moore, has he started in practice with the first team? Or has he been just decimated? Like he's catching throws from Walter White or whatever?
Yes and no. Yes, because they have had a lot of injuries at the position. Samuel Shakir has been out. He did start tonight. He was in that slot position. He was a third receiver. Keon Coleman didn't play. It was Palmer. Again, there was no Keon. Palmer played. It was Palmer, Moore, and Shavers. Shavers has been, first of all, Shavers has been really good. Secondly, Shavers is getting a lot of run with the first team. And in fact, I would say Tyrell Shavers has had more first team run at training camp than Elijah Moore has. I think Tyrell Shavers is making this football team. So
he's like the Brandon Riley of like he keeps coming back.
No, he's not.
I'm saying he's always here. Like he's been here for a couple training camps in a row. And then like it's like, okay, he's gonna make the team, and then he doesn't make the team. But like, hey, if you want to believe in him, Mazel tov. I know he caught a pass tonight, and all the film bros had boners. So I should have. If
a better throw, he would have had a nice touchdown tonight too. Like I said, he beat his guy, and Mike White overthrew him. It was not a good throw. But anyway, my point is, these guys are playing well. Shavers has good special teams value, and Elijah Moore doesn't, and he hasn't done anything. And he had 2 drops tonight, Joe. I mean, you catch the football. You're trying to win confidence over from your coaches. You're new. You haven't had a good camp. You've been dinged up. You've done nothing in the preseason, and you get into the game and you get 2 passes thrown and you drop them. That's not going to work. So
yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, I'll say this: I'm going to have plenty more on this game itself on tomorrow's show. Like I said, we'll rewatch the game. Film without Joe. We'll have some highlights. We'll put some stuff together, but it'll be a little more technical show on tomorrow. I know
we've given you a lot of technical stuff. What are you talking about? We're talking about good stuff. What are you fucking? Oh God, this guy.
So we're here after a 38-0 loss, and I'm annoyed, obviously, more than I should be, and I feel like you don't care at all.
Nope.
It's like one extreme. Nope. Or the other. It's like we're not meeting in the middle anywhere.
Nope. Okay, so you can go and go to the bathroom because I got a speech to make. Okay,
boy.
I don't know where to start with, to be honest, because I have so many thoughts in my head about training camp, preseason, and everything. I'll just say this. Last year, Kaiir Elam had the best training camp of everyone. Go look through the tweets. I'm sure Pat was tweeting about him. He looks great. He was great. He was awesome, and he was fucking terrible. And they couldn't wait to get him off this roster. Chase Claypool last year, freaking OTA MVP, didn't do a goddamn thing. Buffalo Joe, your boy, before he became Lancaster Joe, when he was Buffalo Joe last year, everyone was drooling over him. He makes a team. Did he even contribute last season? Did nothing. Did not fucking matter. Okay, falling in love, having guys. I've seen content bros talk about a 6th-round cornerback is going to start this season because he looked good, one-on-one drill. And I'm like, are you fucking on drugs? Like, what? I mean, I'm sorry. It's just ridiculous. Like, I have a pretty good memory. I'm not a film bro like you now, thank God. But I have a good memory. And I remember every freaking OTA training camp hero. I remember Bucky Brooks being an OTA stud or Brandon Riley being a freaking stud. I remember when Trent Edwards had the preseason of his life with Chan Gailey. He was awesome. And then 2 games in, he got cut. All of this is bullshit. The one guy, I wish someone could tell, if you can remember, Christian Benford. Here's a guy, 6th-rounder. He's great. When he was a rookie in training camp, did people have takes like he was great in training camp? I don't remember anything. Maybe you do. You don't. And wouldn't you?
Not specifically. No,
Not specifically.
He wasn't a buzzy player before he became a good player, I would say.
Yes. It's because when you become a good player, it's not between fucking April and August. It's between September and fucking January.
Let me quickly add to your point. Then you go, but I'm going to give you something that increases what you're saying because you just sparked a memory. You talked about Benford. I'll give you another guy. 2 years ago, training camp, Terrell Bernard, awful, and then he got hurt. And the Bills didn't have a starting middle linebacker. They lost Tremaine Edmonds, and it was supposed to be Tyrell Dodson against Terrell Bernard, who's going to take that spot. We kept waiting for a trade. We kept waiting for an outside guy. Nobody came in. Neither guy stood out at camp. Terrell Bernard didn't even play in the preseason. He got hurt. And come week one, Terrell Bernard was still the starter. And obviously, it turned out to be a great move.
He was great.
But to your point, so I'm going to give you that point.
That's when it matters. Hamlin, like, you could shit on him. But when the regular season starts, you can't.
He's shitty there too.
Well, I don't want. I thought
shitty's an overstatement. All right,
I know you hate him, and
I don't hate him.
Okay, I get it. Okay, look, he's mid at best. Okay, he's mid at best. Okay,
better
like
than
he's
saying shitty. You're right.
Okay, he's mid at best. Like, I would rather have someone else there, but I'm not losing sleep over him. I'm losing sleep over who the fuck is going to be the third wide receiver on this team. That's what I'm losing fucking sleep over. But going back to my point. There is just so much of this, like, this guy. Like, Nate Peterman had the best preseason ever when he won the job from Allen, and him and Kelvin Benjamin lit it up, and then they were terrible. It was horrible. So for people to get excited about any of these younger guys, it's just stupid. And I think a lot of people remember, I mean, I'm glad you went down memory lane a little bit, but I think there are people who do know this, but they don't care because they want to just pretend, overhype all these people because no one remembers at the end of the day. I just brought Elam up. Elam was a stud last year, and it didn't mean dick. And
he was a stud last year at camp.
Yeah,
he was one of the best players at camp. I'll admit that.
So, like, you shouldn't. Anyone who's watching shouldn't. I get it. You want to watch football? It's fine. Like, no football is better than no football. But to, like, go into, like, hyping up younger guys or rookies or guys who haven't played, that's just stupid.
Let's be fair, though, Joe. I maybe more so in past camps, but I'm thinking about this training camp, and I don't think there's been a training camp darling, so to speak, that probably doesn't translate to the season. Because when I look back at this training camp, the guys who were great are guys that already are great. Christian Benford was great at camp this year. Matt Milano was maybe the best player on the football team all at camp. And you can see it, that one play against the Giants. He's back, all right? So most of the play, Ed Oliver, Greg Rizzo.
Well, just remember that, because if he struggles, if he hits a wall because he's older in September, I'm going to bring up how Matt Milano was a stud in training camp.
Okay, I'm going to do that. But he was. Now, the one guy I'll say who hasn't proven it in the regular season, maybe Shavers a little bit, but Keon Coleman has been borderline dominant at training camp. I mean, he was too, by the way. He really was. He looked really, really good. But I guess we'll have to see what happens when the bullets
Keon
fly.
was funny because, like going back, because I wasn't on the show, but, like, anyone who's, like, doing reports on how this player looked great and they're not even on pads, that's just idiotic. Like, players without pads is stupid. Like, you shouldn't even be, like, hyping up everyone. You can just say this guy had a good game, a good day. But, like, no one should be excited about how a guy looks. And I saw Keon Coleman, like that guy the first week, it felt like he was getting, like, a giant freaking, microphone, whatever I got. It's late. But, like, just like a giant hourglass. What not hourglass? I'm dumb. He just had a giant, like, everyone was looking at him and overreacting to his play. And in terms of, like, he looks great, but he dropped a pass. And, like, all his drop passes are, like, horrible. I'm like, dude, he's not even wearing pads right now. Like, it's practice. Like, give me a break. But for overall, in terms of that whole thing, in terms of going over and looking at players and, like, younger guys based off training camp, OTAs, it's stupid. Now, that's always been my point. Now, here's where everything has gone to hell. Because there's always been hype. It's always been a hype bros of like, this player looks great. Brandon Riley, Christian Wade. The list never ends. Derek Rogers, remember him? Like, he was a preseason darling. Like, Rob Quinn loved him. Rest Rob Quinn, whatever the fuck he is these days. But what has happened now is the play-by-play of Twitter during training camp was absurd. And you got into it doing that. I don't know what the hell's going on with you, because we had this thing last year.
You're talking about during camp, right?
Yes, during camp, and thank God camp's over, and like thank God, like
couldn't disagree with you more, but go ahead.
Okay, well I'm going to tell you. Okay, so last year at this time, you and I argued about how I felt you were in the Marge Simpson dress thing. The one episode, and I'll tell our new viewers what that episode is. Marge Simpson had a dress. She bought a dress. It was a really like a Chanel one. And she met these really richy people. And then she like kept redoing that dress to meet them. So it became a blouse or a skirt, blah, blah. And Pat, throughout like 2 months, before the season started, kept running kind of like the same topics. Like, what's the Bills' biggest surprise? Who could be there? Like, who is all these same things that were just reworded. It was just the same shit. Then this year, to me, you decide, playing the hits, but you're remixing the hits with different beats, okay? So it's like covers, and it's the same shit. But this year, you decide you're going to go to camp, live tweet who looks good. Everyone is doing it now. It used to be like a couple, and it's like the same shit. And here's what I don't get. You're doing all that, right? All of you content bros, especially, and even the beat guys, you're all live tweeting what's happening. What is the point of that? Because on social media, you get all these likes. Like, congrats. Like, hey, you get the viral video of Josh Allen throwing to Keon Coleman. Fucking great. You got 1,000 views. You're not going to make any money. Nothing. The goal of Twitter was always to get you to the platform that you're making money for, like your podcast or an article. Tell me two things. One, tell me the best article you've written or you've read this entire training camp. Has there been like a great article or anything that you have read? And two, why am I going to listen to a podcast of you where you're going to recap training camp when I could just go on your Twitter feed and go, oh, he thought these guys looked great. And that's it. Like, why do I have to go and listen to that? I can just look at your thread. Because, like, people like Joe B don't really tweet that much. Because he's like, he does his recap. And if I want to know what Joe B thinks, he does his little recap. And that's it. So I don't get the live tweeting shit about it. The viral videos are just obnoxious. I don't give a shit. I'm never going to Pittsburgh Dairy as long as I live. I will go to Dairy Queen.
That's your loss.
Great. Well, I'm going to Dairy Queen because you people overhyped it. I didn't need to have 75 selfies there. Well, whatever. It's ice cream. There's a lot of good ice cream around the fucking corner for me. But I don't need to have 75 beat people and content bro people go to there. You guys I'm sorry, but you're 45 minutes from Rochester. Okay, you're not like 7 hours away. You can go there during the season. You can go there in February. You guys are acting like you just what? Well, that's where you live because you live in fucking hell. But like, I'm just saying, like, it takes me 50 minutes to get to downtown Manhattan by subway, and you guys are acting like you're going across the fucking country. So it's just one of those things. Like, I don't get the live tweeting thing. I don't get the branding because that's what it feels like. It's become a brand-a-thon at training camp. What you're supposed to do, and I'll volley it back to you, and I appreciate you giving me this line. I was listening to Tim Graham, and you and I loved him. We like Tim Graham a lot. And a couple weeks ago, he had on his podcast where he talked about what he goes to training camp for. He goes to training camp because he wants to talk to people. He wants to cultivate sources, check with people. He does not want to do live tweeting camp stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I know what you're going to say. Well, he's not a beat bro. I get that. Fine. Fair. But you know what he does? He gets information. On that podcast that I listen to, and look, I'm speculating here. This is all coming out of my ass here. He talked about how that the Sabres, I'm going to bring the Sabres in, that after Terry Pegula's gone, the family doesn't want the Sabres, basically. That's what he said. I'm willing to bet that he probably got that information while talking to people at training camp because, the Bills and synergy with the Sabres, blah, blah, blah. He probably asked it. That is what, as a beat reporter, you are supposed to do. You're supposed to cultivate sources. You're supposed to meet people, engage, do a long feature, have a one-on-one with Josh. I know, Tops presented by Shout had Brandon Beane on, and let me tell you, I don't need to hear Brandon Beane ever fucking again because he's overexposed. I mean, he's like name a wrestler who's overexposed right now. Like, that's what he is right now because he just does the same fucking shit. But that is what you're supposed to do.
It's the first time he's ever done.
I get
podcasts.
that. I'm
not
two
of them.
Okay, I'm not. But he's on all of them. He's on McAfee 100 times. So I get why Perino got him. I get that. I'm just saying That is what you're supposed to do at camp. Not these live freaking like making it's like you're covering the Olympic prelims, and it's not the Olympic prelims. It's fucking practice. And none of this shit matters. And I think a lot of these established guys know that. But as you said, I'm sure you get a lot of likes and people there you pump up people, and I think not you, I'm saying in general it gets pumped up, and the dumbasses think that this shit matters. And it doesn't fucking matter. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And I want you to fucking you can call me out.
I'm not gonna call you out, but I will say, if you want to say none of it matters at camp, you have your case, you've presented that. That's reasonable. I'll also say, in terms of what's the saying, why buy the cow when you get the milk for free? I think that's the saying or whatever. So in terms of tweet, if I'm live tweeting everything, but then I just do a podcast and everything that I had just tweeted, well, I will say not everybody who listens to this podcast follows me on Twitter or knows even has Twitter.
Sure.
That's just a portion. Where I think you're wrong is, first of all, there's a lot of Bills fanatics, period. But secondly, we just watched the football game tonight, and every game we watch forward for the rest of the season, every single person who's a Bills fan has the ability to put on Fox or CBS or ESPN and watch the football game. When it comes to training camp, that's not the case. The tickets are very limited. It's not televised. It's not live streamed. So if you want, the only way you're going to be able to follow what's going on at camp are by the people who are there, whether it's the reporters on the sideline or whether it's content bros in the stands or in the hospitality tent like I was for a lot of it, things like that. And by the way, it doesn't even matter because you're still tweeting out the same thing. What I tweet, what I see is no different than what Matt Perino or Sal or anyone else sees. It's the same shit. But my point is, the only way a lot of Bills fans are going to be privy to what's going on during camp is by people tweeting it out live because it's not on TV and you can't watch it like any of us could watch a Bills game.
But okay, that's fair. But I mean, that's why I say to you, camp doesn't matter. It's bullshit. But I'm going to pretend it matters though for this case. Mm-hmm. But why can't you just put it in an article or like that's
I'm not
what
a
you
writer.
should do? No. I'm saying why can't you just have it on your podcast or I'm just saying for writers.
It's a fair point. No, even because the podcast, it's a fair point. I could have withheld all my takes and said, you know what, I'm just going to put them all out there on the podcast.
And I think in general that is a big issue right now. Not just you. I mean, I think it's fine with you, to be honest with you. And, you know, you're a little bit annoying, but like, I think we have all these outlets that are like this the media, whatever you want to call it. It's dying everywhere in terms of television, in terms of radio. It's dying, sadly. And in terms of just like, hey, you need to figure out how to make money. And I feel like people are too caught up in how many impressions they're getting on Twitter, and you're not making a fucking dollar. It's supposed to be the conduit to your website, to your podcast. And I think people obsess about that more so than let's work hard.
I would push back on you saying no one makes any money on Twitter. I would push back on that.
Well, if you have,
I can tell you this. You want to hear something? I'll tell you a quick story. It's kind of I say this. I'm not joking, but I'm saying it in a joking kind of way. I make some money on Twitter, and it's very, very, very minimal. Okay, let's just say I make $60 in a month from Twitter, which I do. I have. Because if I'm
why don't you give me some of that to be on this fucking podcast, then, you prick? All right, go ahead.
That was coming. Yeah. But seriously, that's nothing. Well, it's not nothing. Let's say it's $50. Somebody like, I don't know, let's just use Sal or Matt, either of those guys, or Joe B. Joe B doesn't tweet, so we can't say Joe. Sal tweets a lot. Matt tweets not as much, but, you know, he tweets plenty. There's a lot of big guys. Dan Brown, a lot of people, Dan Fates, they're tweeting out every single little thing that's going on. Anyway, a lot of those guys probably get 10 to 20 times the amount of views that I get. So if I'm getting $60, they're probably getting 600, 800 a month. That take care of a lot of bills. You know what I mean? It puts a lot of food.
I think I take a lot of bills. I mean, it depends what they're getting. Like,
pay your utilities, they'll pay your electric.
That's utilities.
Grocery bills.
Pat, we're talking about an industry that like reporters used to make like almost six figures. That shit's gone.
I agree.
And I'm saying in general,
I'm just saying people can make money on Twitter is what I'm telling you. That's all I'm saying.
All right. If you want to say they can, but it's not going to pay all of the bills. Okay. But the point is, you want it to get to whatever your podcast, your video is, and just live tweeting it constantly is just kind of a little bit of I think you're kind of cutting.
I just think you hate training camp. It doesn't mean anything.
Oh no, I do, but I think I'm right though. You just kind of agreed with me. Like, why are you not putting this on there? But training camp is worthless.
I didn't say I agree with you. I said I see your point.
Okay,
but that's your point is not agreeing.
Look, I just don't like cults, and I feel like there's a little bit of a cult with the Bills fucking people who talk about it.
You make fair points. You make fair points. I'm going to be objective in this conversation. I think you make a series of fair points.
But just hyping, like, look at Elijah Moore. We talked about this earlier. He had a fucking viral video in OTAs where someone shot him doing a cut, and everyone jerked off all over it on Twitter. He wasn't defending anyone, and I'm like, what is wrong with you people? And I think that's where people. I'm sorry, that's where people fall in love. The content people fall in love with that, and rather get that instant credibility, or not credibility, but that instant like. Then hey, I'm going to work hard and find fucking. We haven't talked about James Cook. Like, I haven't been on the show since he signed his extension. The biggest story for training camp should have been James Cook. I don't fuck everything else. Fuck Buffalo Joe. That was the biggest
swearing, man.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dan Meyer. My bad.
No, it's a good point. But anyway,
but my point is that should have been the biggest story that people were chasing.
I feel like it was.
But who was chasing it? Who had any insight? Who had anything about? Oh, he wants this.
Nobody was talking. No, nobody did, including national people.
That's what but that's where you should try to find out, like, from other people. Look, there are people in that building aside from Brandon Beane that are in the know. I'm not saying like, oh, it would be easy. Like, you find this out in a day. It would be hard, probably, but that's what you should be doing. I don't
think there's any inside things to the story. James Cook wasn't going to practice until he got paid. That's what it was. He held in. He wanted more money.
But I'm saying that everything happened as it happened. No one reported on it. It just happened. And everyone was like, oh, I'm too busy getting the dairy at the Pittsburgh or whatever the fuck.
No. See, now
okay, I'm a dick. I'm sorry.
You had
I'm
good
a jerk.
points. You had a lot of good points, but now I think you're going
okay, now I'm trolling. I am trolling.
You
people.
are
Sorry.
definitely trolling at this
people.
point. And I'll also
Pittsburgh
say this.
Dairy. Okay.
It's not that you don't have a handful of what I think are really valid points. But where I think you are wrong is I think there are more fans who do care about, and let me finish, there's more fans who do care about Elijah Moore catching a ball or dropping a ball or Keon Coleman high pointing a ball over Dorian Strong. I think there's more people that care about that shit than are like you who don't care about any of it. I think by far there's a lot more fanatics out there that want to know every single little piece of information that they can get their hands on, as opposed to somebody who does not give a shit at all.
I think that's a good point, but I haven't had anyone on my Buffalo text threads tell me like they care who aren't on Twitter and they're Bills fans. Like, there is you just said it yourself that there are people who don't have Twitter, but they're listening to your podcast or whatever. So you're judging this based off Twitter instead of like maybe you are real life. Like, no one on my, and I hate to say this because it's like a small, like, I have a Bills text thread with like 7 Bills fans. No one has tweeted about tonight's game to me at all, and they're Bills fans.
Well, then, I mean, come on, it's a preseason game. They should be. It should be. It's at least. Look, should you be breaking down the play of Cole Bishop on film and doing all 22 film reviews? No,
I don't know.
But it's a Bills preseason game or not. That should be at least worth a few texts if you're actually a Bills fan.
No, they
and
are.
You're watching the game.
Dude, I would not even be texting you right now if I wasn't on a stupid podcast. I would have watched any of the game. I would have watched more Sex in the City. I would have freaking binged watched it again instead of doing this crap. Get out of here. And again, I'm swearing. I'm sorry, Dan Myers. My bad.
Let me ask you a question. And you mentioned Hard Knock, or I don't know if you mentioned Hard Knock. Have you watched? We have not talked much.
That's how much I hate. That's how much I hate. No, I've been so behind. Like, we just caught up on Closer Look with Seth Meyers. We caught up on John Oliver, our political shows, and we have to watch Press Your Luck. And then after Press Your Luck,
Jesus Christ,
dude, Press Your Luck, Pat. I am telling you, you need to watch the new Press Your Luck. It is awesome. I would do a live podcast about Press Your Luck. It is.
Oh my god.
It is the poop. It's great. But anyways, I haven't caught up, but I've heard it's not very good in terms of objective people have said it's very boring. Why? I know, like, a lot of Bills fans, it's a love story, and I get that. So I was
going to say, if you're critical of this organization as it is, I can't imagine how critical you would have been watching the first 2 episodes of Hard Knocks, because yes, I've said it. If you're a Bills fan, it's fun because it's fun to watch the access, seeing
Sure.
anything you could get up with the Bills, whether it's highlights or just locker room banner. KJ Hamler's been really funny. There's been a couple, cool things going on with
To
it.
see what Bills beat bros get on there and celebrate on Twitter, yes.
Well, here's the scoreboard so far, because I knew that'd be one of the few things you'd care about. Episode 1, Dan Fate said a brief cameo, not speaking cameo, like he was just in a shot. Mookie Hawkins had a nice extended cameo. He was talking to, I think it was Keon Coleman after practice. Episode 2, the only media member that found their way on there was Josh Reed from Channel 4. He happened to be standing next to Sean McDermott about it was some kind of charity or something initiative, and Josh Reed happened to be there. But that's been it for the Buffalo media. But what I'm saying is if you're a Bills fan, you've enjoyed this. I would strongly suspect if you're not a Bills fan, it's been a big snooze fest so far. You want to talk about bro beats and stuff like that, not covering the Cook story. How about HBO and Hard Knocks? Because they made James Cook, they made that seem like a little blip on the radar. Last week, or 2 weeks ago now, James Cook was supposed to practice the last day of camp. Sean McDermott said he was going to. Half hour later, he doesn't practice. That was a big story. HBO didn't even mention it. He was going to, or Sean wanted him to play in that first preseason game, and James decided he wasn't going to. They didn't even cover that. They didn't even mention it. So no James Cook shit, basically. It's been very, you could tell the Bills, if there was any, do the Bills have creative control or not? Yes, they do. And it is really, really obvious.
Look, the show hasn't been good for a while, but I think there's a couple of things that have worked against it. For one, there's a lot of programming, not counter-program, but a lot of spin-offs. Like you have the in-season Hard Knocks, you have the Kirk Cousins thing on Netflix, where they're in his life. There's 75 different versions of the show now, so it waters down everything immensely. Last off season, the Giants thing happened with Saquon Barkley leaving. It made and that was I watched that. That was actually a good season of it. They were pretty open about it. It was great. And then it looked like they got egg in their face. And I think a lot of teams got scared. I wouldn't be shocked if Beane and since Beane and Shown, whatever his name is, they're boys, they probably commiserated and he was like, this is what happened. And Beane was like, we're not doing that. But yeah, look, it looks nice. It's shot well from the clips I've seen, but it's a level at. But you're right. It's not what it was 20 years ago, which was it was hard ass. And now,
it's nothing like that anymore.
It's not like that anymore. I mean, you don't have.
We'll see this next one, episode 3, coming up, because they're obviously going to have a lot of footage from this game in Chicago, and there was basically nothing that was enjoyable about this game.
I'm trying to think if there's any. Oh, go ahead. Or I was going to say, I'm trying to think if there's any other training camp outrage I had. Okay, so we got over the play-by-play thing. And you doing the alt. Let me ask you this, and then we'll go to. I know you want to talk about Art Wander, and I actually, if it's okay, I wanted to share my James Cook thoughts too because I haven't been on the show. Did you find it learning to go down there more this time around to watch OTAs, or were you down there just to network and give high fives to your buddies over on the sideline? Did you honestly, or because look, I think you went down there because I think you just saw what everyone else is doing, and you're like, okay, I got to keep up with the Joneses, I got to keep up with the Podfather and Greg T-Bone. Okay, but the T-Bone and Gunther Turner and those guys, the Maniac or Manic. That reminds me. Before I'm gonna cut you off, I'm gonna cut the comeback off. I disagree. The one thing I saw on Twitter. So I saw that the one podcast, Circle the Wagons, they said Harrison was supposed to be out for the season. They were wrong. And
source confirmed it. That's right.
Yeah, or something like that. And I remember Maniac said something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing, what would you rather have? People speculating or trying to report news, or absolutely nothing? And then you kind of came in and you said, well, I think there's enough content out there with the content bros, and I'm really paraphrasing, and tell me if I'm paraphrasing it wrongly. There's so much good content out there, they don't need that breaking news kind of thing. You don't need to be investigative reporter on that. And I disagree with that I disagree with that a lot. I
said that sort of. That's not really
okay.
That's not really accurate. I said what they do well is they just talk about the team. They'll break down a game. They'll talk about the next opponent. They'll just shoot the shit or whatever.
Sure.
They don't be in the business of breaking news if you don't have legitimate, true sources. And if you're not prepared to deal with what the consequence is going to be when you fuck up a story, and that's like really, really a bad, inexcusable mess up, and it makes you lose all your. Are you prepared to lose all your credibility? Is it worth losing all your credibility over? You got 20. They got triple the following I do, Joe. They got 26,000 followers on Twitter, and they lost so much credibility for what?
Well, how do you know they lost all the credibility? Because it was on Twitter? I mean, you don't know that, but it's also, if they've broken news before, yeah, it happens. You're wrong. But see, this is where you have all these content people, but you're all seeing this. I don't want to say you're all seeing the same thing, but there's a lot of that of like, everyone's going to break down the film today and talk about how this guy sucked or that guy sucked. It's going to be very hard to pick who the MVP is. Like you and I have our shtick. You know, we're like Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon, bickering and all that crap. But like at the end of the day, the content's going to be kind of the same as everyone else. If you want to get out of that and get more likes and get more of a following, it's breaking news. And I know that for a fact because I broke two Sabres trades back in the early 2010s when I had my site Buffalo Wins, and I remember I broke it. I gained like 800 followers right away. And I was like, this is great. And then like I was able to get that into the website, you know, in terms of that. And, you know, depending on who, like, that guy probably didn't articulate. You don't say a source. Like, you can say I've heard.
He guessed.
Even though you're
wrong. He guessed wrong.
He guessed wrong. But I'm just saying that in general, you should try to chase after, because I think that differentiates you from everyone else.
Okay, but then you better be prepared for what the consequence is. And part of the problem is, part of the problem. How can you take somebody serious when there is no consequence? Joe, if that was Jay Skursky, if Jay Skursky put that out there, what happens to Jay Skursky tomorrow if he's wrong? If a source confirms that Max Harrison's out with an ACL, what happens to Jay Skursky?
Nothing. He's not going to get fired.
He could get fired.
John Scott said Mike Williams died, and he didn't die. And he's going to get fired? Come on, no. You're making the only people, let me say this. The only people who gatekeep about that are the media people who don't report anything. I saw Worrell was like, oh, how dare they like do that, and a couple other people. They do that because even though they don't really break that much stuff to begin with, they just want to wave their finger at you because you messed it up, but at the same time, it's them. People mess up a lot.
There's a risk when you take a chance. It's like going to slots. You take $500. You're taking a chance. You want to win money. Maybe you walk out of there rich, or you lose. You lose, and they lost, and there should be consequence for that.
You messed up. You talked about this before. Like you got the Sean Merriman thing.
I talked about on the show 20 times in the last 2 weeks.
But I'm just saying. Let me explain this real quick. You didn't lose your job. You didn't die
because I didn't. Well, I couldn't fire just like CW's podcast.
But still,
I got buried, bro.
You got buried by people who were just dicks about it.
No, they weren't dicks. They were right to be. First of all, I lost a lot of followers. I lost a lot of subscribers or whatever, a lot of readers. Yes, I did. Trust me.
Okay. And
it was very fucking embarrassing, dude. Every time I did a name search, I couldn't go on a Bills message board anymore. Anytime I tried to type anything. Well, what's his name had a good day of practice. Oh, is it like Sean Merriman? I fucking spent 3 years almost having to go through that shit.
But you're still alive. You still got your shit.
I would never do it again. If on this show tomorrow, if I had a strong suspicion that Max Harrison tore his ACL and was out for the year, I ain't saying it. I'd rather react and talk about it. Because
that's where I disagree. Because
I don't want to go. Well,
I think you would get, if you got it right, you would be a hero.
Sure.
Again, it's worth it to me. But again, I get it. This is your platform. I'm just a schmuck. And I guess I get the difference. Like a schmuck.
Losing is worse. What's the saying? Losing feels worse than winning feels good. That's the saying, or whatever it is.
Well, I say no guts, no glory. And like, you got to put it on. But like, there is like, and look, who knows who that guy talked to.
The next time they put out a story, are you going to pay? Well, maybe you might. Is the vast majority of people, are they going to believe it? No, they're not going to. They're not going to. They're not, because that's the chance they took. And look, I don't wish ill will on them. The thing that made me the most mad is I feel like when something like that happens, it gives people who are trying to be legitimate, incredible. It's hard enough to be a podcaster or be taken serious enough as it is.
Sure.
So you get
No,
to that. Anyway,
I get what you're saying on that. So what was so going back, I'm sorry, it popped in my head because it was something I really wanted to talk to you about.
you were asking me questions, and then somehow that tangent came
Yeah,
about.
no. Tell me about, like, did you really learn a lot from watching training camp, or was it just you know,
just
jerking off,
high-fiving
Skursky and being like, I love your outfit,
It was both. I did. Okay. It was worth it to go. I did network. I did have I think it's important if you're going to go, listen, if you're going to cover training camp, if you're going to have a podcast that's 5 days a week, you should be at camp as much as you can, if for no other reason, so that you could have a first-hand account. What am I going to do? Just sit there every day, not go to practice, and fucking just quote tweet Sal Capaccio or Jay or whoever 20 times and just say, hey, this is this. How do I know? I didn't fucking watch it. I didn't watch it. So I thought it was important to be there and have my own first-hand accounts. And when I do a show, it's from my eyes and not from the perception of what others people are seeing.
But did you learn any? I get what you're saying. Like, it was for content.
Did I learn anything
purposes.
about the team?
Like, you're like, this is stupid, but I'm gonna pretend. Or I don't know. Like, did you learn about the team, or you just like you're playing like, oh yeah, let me just report what everyone saw, but really it's.
I don't know.
Like, did you change your mind about training camp? Because I know, I don't know how different we feel about training camp. I think obviously we yell at each other about it a lot, but obviously I know it means a lot to some players, like the crappy players who want to make the team. But was it something that you sat there and said, you know what?
The only thing I saw that changed my mind about a player that I might have felt different about before is, I think, Keon Coleman. Like, how I felt about Keon Coleman a month ago and how I feel about him now are different. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a big step this year based on what I've seen. In terms of the team, I think that's pretty much the only significant thing that I learned. But again, I got a lot of followers. The podcast numbers have been doing really, really good because I've so obviously been doing a good job of covering camp. And I spent a lot of time in Rochester this time around. I thought it was dumb to drive an hour and a half each way back and forth when I was going to be there for 3 or 4 straight days. So 2 times I got a hotel and I made the most of it. I got to spend time in Rochester at your favorite place, Pittsburgh Dairy. I did go there every day. I recorded 2 shows there. I get what you're saying. Before we get out of here, because we're running late now, we talked about the HBO thing. You mentioned it earlier. Art Wander passing away at 90, I think it was 97. He was about to turn 98, I think. Wow. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't heard from him in years. I thought, I didn't know he was still alive. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, because he was, I'm not going to say he was one of my favorites ever. That's just an easy thing to say. But he was certainly one of the more memorable sports media people that I've ever, been around. I did grow up youngish, anyway, with Art Wander, 80s, 90s, and in the early 2000s. Colorful dude, man. A fun guy to listen to. Anyway, he did pass away, 97, Buffalo broadcaster, Hall of Fame. Talked about him briefly on the show Friday. Thoughts?
I did not listen to Art that much until he got to Empire. I think he was a little bit more edgier at GR when he was there. I think he did a show with Chuck Dickerson, which I don't know. That makes my head explode just thinking about him and Chuck Dickerson doing a show together. He was definitely like,
if you're listening, I wasn't laughing at Art. I was laughing at a comment. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, it's all right. We'll go through that comment again when I'm done. But, he was definitely a personality more so than like a journalist or even a talk show host. Like, he did commercials.
Sure.
And I think you see that a lot with a lot of the Bills, and I'm not exactly a fan of it, but like a lot of media people like to put themselves kind of in the story a little bit more than they should. He was kind of one of those guys a little bit where, he had nicknames and he was, where am I at with him? I mean, he just was a big institution and like in terms of being on there a lot. There were times I thought he was wrong about a lot of things and he was a little bit abrasive, but that was kind of what the 90s were, in my opinion, for talk radio in Buffalo. It's more abrasive than anything.
Sure.
It's kind of amazing though, like how he was. I'll say a couple of stories. He was on WBBZ a few different times in like early 2010, where he did interviews with Bob Kaczynski. Like Bob Kaczynski had a talk show, and it's on YouTube, and like he would have some sports takes, but you can obviously tell he he was like he was like in his 80s at that point. He didn't have his fastball. But the one thing I do remember was he called into WGR the day after the Bills broke the drought. And he called into the morning show because I was like listening to all that because I was like, oh, the Bills broke the drought. And he called in and he was like excited about them breaking the drought. And I was like, oh, wow. And the hosts were like, it's Art Wander. And like, because it was Jeremy and Howard. But yeah, he wasn't my cup of tea, you know, but like he definitely was a personality. Like you can go down a rabbit hole of Empire and watch a lot of his commercials. I did watch his show that he had there, which was just getting started, which was on at 4:00 every day. I had it at the pizzeria working because I was an Empire junkie, and you know he was entertaining, but I wouldn't say I was learning a lot. But I totally get like people liking him if they were, you know, talk show junkies, which I really wasn't. I was more of a TV junkie, but if you were like, I listened to GR like during that time frame, and I didn't until like the late 90s, early 2000s. And by then he was on his way out a little bit. But yeah, he was old, 97. Jesus Christ. That's
a hell of a
insane.
life, man. To live to 97 years old.
We can only hope that we can do that.
And I
like to apologize for swearing. Pat, don't tell me afterwards you swear too much. I get it. I did swear too much. And,
well, it's been a while. I swear a lot too. And look, we swear on this show. That's the deal. People know that. But sometimes I think you and I, both of us, because I do it too, we get a little bit.
Yeah,
we get the train going a little bit, and it can be a little bit too much.
I don't think you're swearing with Matt Rich Warren on your Wednesday show with him.
I don't think I've ever sworn with Matt Rich Warren on our Wednesday shows. No. Him or there might be a shit bomb there or something like that, but for the most part, no. And it's funny, Anthony Marino, I had him on for a full season, and I think I was afraid to swear around Anthony Marino.
Does Podfather swear?
No.
Okay,
not well. I've never heard him swear on a podcast.
Oh.
You know, if it's a private conversations, you might a cuss word might slip out or two, but never on his show. By the way, quick shout out on Anthony Marino, who's now he's with the Overreaction Sports guys, Fina, Ostrowski, Joe Miller.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, Anthony's doing like pregame shows this year on their network.
The other Marino.
Yeah,
he's not the Podfather. He's like the consigliere. We'll call him.
We're going to get out of here in a second. We're going to get out of here in a few minutes, by the way. About over 1,100 people have stopped in here live, which for us on a late 11:30 Sunday, and the Podfather and Jeremy, you got to be saying that now. The Podfather, Jeremy, and Jerry O are actually doing their own live post-game show.
They have a good show.
So
I enjoy their show.
I love their show.
They do a good job. I'm a fan of all of them, even Podfather.
Very balanced, their show. Yeah, I like it a lot.
It's a good. It reminds me a little bit. It reminds me a little bit of like the formula that when they used to have sharpshooters back in the late 90s, where it was Robitaille, Jim Kelly, and and Shope. Like you have the radio guy, you have the athlete, and then you have like the quote unquote like journalist. Saying Podfathers are journalists. We'll just say.
I want to throw up here, and the one thing I wanted to add about Art Wander is to what you said. I like that he was different. Different eras, but like. I like to listen to Joe B, on the Bills beat when he does his stuff, but it's all meat and potatoes, it's all steak. There's no sizzle at all. And that's not an insult. I love listening to it, but if I want that sizzle, a guy like Art Wander would give it to me. Coach Chuck Dickerson would give it to me. There's some others who could give it to you. Anyway, 3 comments I wanted to pull up here quickly. One of them about the team, one of them the typical overreaction, which I thought was funny, although I can't find it, and then a funny one to end. But Mark had said earlier, why did Trey White get a pass tonight? He is old and washed. This Trey White experiment won't end well. Mark my words, Pat. Another conversation that we'll get into another time. But my mindset is if you're not going to play, what are you going to see from Trey White today that you haven't seen last week?
So what's the deal?
Or at camp?
If I can ask, because he seemed to have like a really good camp to start. And did he struggle in the last game? Because again, I don't.
He did. I thought he did have a very good camp. He was really physical, good red zone work, good individual drills work. The couple times where he looked a little bit exposed was his speed. He got beat a couple times at camp, not often, but he got beat a few times. And then that Giants game last week just looked like he was running away. He was scared to get beat. It was like he was given a lot of cushion. And they threw at him 5 times on the first drive of the football game. So, and you got Christian Bedford on the other side. So there's concerns. Trey White was really lousy last year. So is he all the way back? How good is he going to be?
We'll
That's
see.
another, like I said, that'll be something that we'll find out in time and don't really want to
Do I
get into
have
that
2
today.
minutes to give a James Cook thought or no?
Yeah, go ahead. Well, I try to find this other comment.
Yeah, you go find. I'm shocked that they signed him. I thought he was going to be gone. If you had told me in March that he was going to cost them what they were going to cost, I would have said no. But I feel like, and this is where his agent, I thought, played it kind of brilliantly. His agent kind of gave in like, oh, he's going to, we thought when OTAs were done and he was there, he was going to practice. Like there was a little bit of him getting a little ambiguous, but there was not that feel like he was going to not practice. And then when he was like, I'm not practicing, which seemed to take the Bills by surprise, the Bills were kind of effed where it's like, what were you going to do? You're going to like you don't have a lot of weapons to begin with because like your offseason was mostly, I'm going to fix the defense and that's it. And it's like, you got to go in, you're going for a Super Bowl. And the one thing I'll say to myself is that I wonder myself, if the Bills were like a 9, let's just say they were 11-6 last year and they like lost the divisional round, maybe like they did the last couple of times. Do they re-sign James Cook? Because I think when you have Super Bowl aspirations, the pressure's there. You're trying to have the best team on the field, and I think they got pressed into that a little bit because they never have paid for a running back, and I don't necessarily agree with paying for running backs, and I can't get it past it a little bit. You know, I just wouldn't. I would rather put it in other assets. Now, if you could spin it, and I know Jeremy White is kind of spinning it this way, which it makes sense. Like, hey, if you get rid of Cook, then you got to use a second rounder on a running back. And then when you think of that logic, it's like, okay, well, just keep him then. But I'm more of like, get a guy in the 4th round then, because you can find guys there. But I understand why they did it. If they had, and I think the narrative has, I think the feel on Twitter and even Bill's Twitter has changed where it was like, let this guy go, don't pay him that much, to when it got done. Because of the Williams signing in Los Angeles, I feel like it kind of went to, oh, it's fine for him to come back. Where before it was like, yeah, goodbye. Like, we're not paying a running back. And I feel people, maybe it was a little bit of that. Like I said, I think his agent played it really well with what he did. Because what were they supposed to do if he was going to hold out? They would have been, they would have went with Davis and Ty Johnson, and you're going for the Super Bowl. You're not going for a division. You're going for the Super Bowl. I don't know. That was my take. I hadn't talked about it, and I just thought people agree. I don't know if you agree with that. I know we want to go.
Well, I think that he's the second best player on the offense behind Josh Allen. They are a Super Bowl team, and I also think it's a win for both sides. James Cook got what he wanted, which was more guaranteed money. Don't look at what the first reports are. At the end of the day, it is essentially a 3-year, $30 million contract. Guaranteed. The good news for James Cook, what makes him happy, why he didn't stop chasing $15 million, is James Cook got $30 million. That's basically guaranteed.
Yeah, he wanted
the good news for the Bills.
That's the key.
The good news with the Bills is that they basically got the running back they wanted for $10 to $10.5 million a year. So
yeah. It's cap friendly for 2 years, and then it goes up to like 12, 13. Yeah. It balloons up.
And then
so
you get
we'll
rid
see
of
what
him
happens
at that
there.
point. So yeah, you worry.
Yeah,
about
it's just I get why they did it, but if you would have told me back in March before the offseason started, like you're gonna give him this, I would have said no and go put that money into something else. But at that point, you had no choice. It's like 5 months later, you got to do it. Like you can't have a holdout, and that's my opinion.
Despite my complaining tonight about how bad the safeties have looked and how concerned I am about Trey White, two things that could really derail the season for the Bills is injuries and distractions. And that could have been a distraction, and now it's not. So for that reason alone, we're good. Last 2 things here. This is a comment what I'm talking about. So if you think I overreact, folks, to this game on Sunday night, Think Out Loud said Bobby Babbage is officially on the hot seat. Should have hired Robert Saleh. I mean, come on, dude. We're talking about firing.
I'm going to say this. Bobby Babbage. No, you shouldn't base that off preseason. No, but I will say this. I do think he is a low-key, underrated hot seat guy. Like, in terms of if the defense doesn't come through and they struggle and they're giving up 30 again in the playoffs,
yeah,
I could see him getting killed. But get killed off. I could see that.
Kill
because
off the TV series.
Yeah, they're gonna take a lot like The Rock when he does this other slit throw.
Well, there's a lot of pride. I agree that there's pressure on him.
There's just a little bit. I'm just because look under him, like he came in and like there's a lot of hype. Everyone wanted him to stay. Like we all did because he did great with the linebackers and like yes, promote him to DC. And last year was like, all right, they got a lot of turnovers, but they gave up a lot of yards and now they redid the front four and they got different corners in. I could see that being a low key hot seat a little bit for him, a little bit, you know.
All right, last one here, which kind of we'll end on a funny note because this is actually kind of true. Mark said this podcast is like an underground punk show / bar fight. That's why I like it. Well, look, man, I've said this before. When Joe's on the show anyway, this is what we do. We bicker. Joe sometimes we agree. We agree on a lot of stuff. But when we don't sit there, oh, I agree with you. No, there's a lot of shit that we go back and forth about that we don't agree. It's non-traditional type of recapping and just conversations that we have, which, look, man, we got to be a little bit different. If this is just straight up hour of nonstop football analysis, why are you going to listen to this show when you could go listen to a couple of the other ones?
That's why you should try to break news, because if you break news, you'll be different from everyone else. But no,
and when I'm wrong, and when Patrick Moran reports that
you can cry.
Max Harrison tore his ACL per source, that was confirmed, then it doesn't happen. What do you think these comments would look like? What do you think the YouTube comments on my show would look like if that was me?
You can post an apology video and say, like, I'm with you guys. Thank you for being with us the whole time, and then tell the stuff off. I don't know. You know, you can post something like that.
No.
But no, I digress. No, I'm kidding. But I
really did. And by the way, they should have done that. I will say that. Well, that's kind of gotten under my skin a little bit. And I feel bad for them. It sucks because I've been through it, Joe. Maybe that's what.
Sure.
Maybe I get more triggered. Other podcasts are like, why do you care, bro? Who cares? It's not your podcast. What do you give a shit? Why do you care? Maybe I care because it's triggering what happened to me in the blogosphere years ago. It was a big hit to my ego. It was a big hit to my credibility.
That's the thing. You're a bit of an egomaniac. You just have to take
a lot of an egomaniac.
You are, but you also take rejection very harsh. I'm like, reject me. I'm like, all right, go F yourself. All right, bye. But like, I get what you're saying. But look,
hard, bro, when you can't go on a Bills message board for a couple
Bills
years without being
usually
ridiculed.
A bunch of dorks in there anyway. Like, fuck that place.
Yeah, but it's just
all
not
right.
worth it.
Well, let me put myself over since you put yes. But like, I'm very happy to be back. We'll be on next week. And then the week after, we'll be on like a Friday. I will not be here for the opener because I will be at the opener. So I will be. Yep. I'm very excited to go down there. If people see me there in the parking lot drunk, please give me another beer. But yeah, I'm excited about the season. I think we have some good stuff coming up. Possibly if Pat listens to me, but he won't because he'll be like, we got to recap training camp tonight. You know, and not listen to my.
Let me update something now that you're done putting yourself over, because it's actual important news, which, by the way, if you're listening to this podcast an hour and a half in, I doubt you really give a shit at this point. But we did talk earlier about a mystery with Cole Bishop. Did he get hurt again, or was he benched? And it certainly seems like he got benched for bad play, because Sean McDermott did say in the postgame, and I'm looking right now at Matt Perino's Twitter. Matt Perino's reporting this. Sean McDermott was asked if he was concerned about Cole Bishop, and he said he'll have to look at the film and see where the team is at safety and what they may need. Bro, I'm telling you, something's coming down the chute at safety. I bet you money. And Jordan Hancock spoke to Perino. There's a video out. Says he's feeling pretty good considering he left with a shoulder injury. He was one of the few standouts for the game.
Your boy Herbie is back, so you're fine.
He looks like Herbie Hancock looks like he's going to be okay. He said he's feeling pretty good, all things considered, though, but we'll
do you know what Herbie Hancock? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, Cole Bishop. Perino also talked to Cole Bishop. There's a video said he's trying to get his feet back under him after missing so much at camp. Explain what happened on that TD play. All right, we'll get out of here because again we'll end up down a rabbit hole that we were in.
Yeah, you got tomorrow. You could do all 25 and then get Perino on and Talbot and whoever the rock pile guy. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, so I will, like I said, I will be back tomorrow with my biggest takeaways after watching the film. It'll be a little more straight shooting type thing, because believe it or not, there are some people out there, Joe, that actually do want to know who looked good or more importantly, like what happened on a handful of plays. That's what I really Tell
Go
you
to
what,
a
man.
baseball game.
I don't
Isn't there a
break down
baseball?
like formations.
Oh,
what baseball? What
Bisons.
what are you doing
Go
here?
see
Baseball?
there. Get a hat. Look, I got the Bisons hat right here. Look at that.
That is
Beautiful
a cool hat.
Thank you.
You know what? I have no idea if the Bisons are even good or not. I have no idea. But anyway, my point was this. I like to take 5 or 6 plays and look at what happened, like what went wrong or what went right. So anyway, that'll be tomorrow. Like Joe said, he's back now on Sundays except for the opener. So, God, I hate these live freaking games. But, again, to be on this late, have well over 1,100 people, pretty cool. All right, buddy, I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, peace out.
All right, guys, and I'll be back. Brand new show coming up tomorrow.